the seagulls follow the trawl, it's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you.
Nobody cares, mate.
Nobody cares, mate. Nobody fucking cares, mate, honestly.
And the guy's talking absolute nonsense. I've never heard so much rubbish in my life.
Normal men.
What do you mean, normal men?
We're just innocent men.
I'm telling you, don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
Welcome to the Sunday Blether. It's a bit of a different Sunday Blether today, guys. We've got pre-match Sunday Blether today. I'm going to just have a list of all these new nicknames we need for every show that we're going to do for every slight variation of the Sunday Blether. We're on a tight schedule today, so we're just going to get fired into it. But before we do that, guys, we've got to tell you about all that good stuff, Phil. So we've got, of course, you can become a Bhoycie Bus member, which is absolutely optional. It's completely free. All our content is absolutely free, but you can become a Bhoycie Bus member to support the old pod if you would like to do that. So make sure to like, subscribe, and all that. Hit the like button, hit that notification bell, and you'll get told when every show is on. And a big thank you to our newest sponsor, piesports.com, where you can get all your pastry goods delivered straight to your door, and you can use a discount code, Phil. It's Bus 1888. Am I right in saying that? And you get a 12.5% discount.
Yeah, a tasty discount, one would say.
A tasty discount. Now the pies have been rolling in to some of the Bhoycie Bus members, and the reviews are quite sensational. I would say I've yet to put in my order, but I'll be doing that for a couple of days off I've got next week. So
Russell's been enjoying them live on screen. Somebody said on Twitter the other night it's the quietest you've ever been on the show, Russell, when he was scoffing that pie and Bovril at the start of Bustalgia.
Well, when food's good when nobody's talking. That's when you know you've got something really good. So make sure you get onto piesports.com and get yourself some pastry delights. Right, so you'll notice that the judge isn't with us today. Mark was having a nice weekend. I know. Where's the judge? I'm sure he will be in the chat soon enough, but he wasn't able to make it on for today. But we've got the face that runs the place, Regan Stevenson, with us, and Mr. Friday Night Phil McGinley is also joining me once again, guys. As Russell would say, how the devil are you doing?
I'm doing well, David. Glad to be here. Celtic
piling on the agony, piling on the style today, hopefully. But yeah, looking forward to it. I mean, like I said, that to Phil there, the last time Celtic was at St Johnstone, it was a 2-1 victory, 94th minute. I just hope the Celtic can make me rest my heart easy today, Phil, but I'm not too sure.
Yes, well, I said this last week. We played Dundee United. We're in the business end of the season now. We just need to get wins on the board. Ideally, I think we'd all like it if Celtic would just turn up in games and just beat everybody 5-6-0, no problem. But, we've got an agenda where we've gone for the title, but teams like St Johnstone down at the bottom, they're going to be fighting for everything. So we can't take it, lightly. So we took it, as Regan pointed out there, took a 94th minute winner the last time. Hopefully, just for the health reasons, it doesn't go like that again. So I don't think many of us can stand that. But, if we just go about our job professionally today, I can see us getting it done and just getting the points on the board, regardless of 1-0, 2-0, 5-0, whatever. As long as Celtic have won the game, that's all we care about at this point.
Well, Regan, we've got the lineup in front of me, but before we get to the lineup, let's have a look at our opponents for today. So obviously we're going to McDiarmid Park, and we're up against St Johnstone. So the Perth side have won just one of their last 7 league matches. But after needing an injury time winner the last time that we went to McDiarmid Park, that obviously will stick in our mind, and certainly Postacog's mind, like you were saying there, Phil. We can't take St Johnstone lightly. We have to remember. I mean, when you look at the games that they've played, they beat Motherwell 2-0 in the last game, I believe. But they lost to Dundee United, Livingston, and the Aberdeen, of all teams that are absolutely horrendous at the minute, and Rangers twice, once in the cup and in the league.
Yeah,
but I still wouldn't want to take our opponents too lightly. They are sitting 8th in the table, and you say we are at the business end of the season. They're scrapping to try and make sure that they can stay in the away from the relegation zone, which I don't think they would end up in, to be fair. But they still want to make sure they're trying to climb up that table, and if they're managing to get even a draw against us, that's a good result for them.
Yeah, I think they'll be trying to stay in the game for as long as possible. See if they can get to like the first 45 minutes and it's 0-0, and try and get by and try and scrape by and see what they can do. I think that's what they'll be trying. The big thing for me today is their top goal scorer and the player that got sent off last week, Ibrox, is available to play today. That's the biggest thing for me. I might come back and bite us right on the arse, but yep, I'm just hoping that we can get the job done. But I was looking back at the results against Celtic and Rangers. In the last few that they've been up there, Rangers have won 1-0, Celtic have won 2-1, Celtic have won 1-0. So every game's been pretty tight. The win there, so I'm expecting a very cagey game. And then obviously they've played Rangers in the last 2 games, and they got beat 1-0, and they beat Rangers 2-1 when obviously Gio got the sack 2 weeks later. So it's going to be a hard game. As much as I suppose the good thing for us is St Johnstone don't bring that many fans, so we'll be outnumbered with the fans as well, and hopefully the Celtic fans can roll on to victory. Because I was saying to you earlier, Phil, I mean, that's us 22 goals ahead. We've played, was it 25 games? So I think that even if this title race does go down to the wire, we are secured, we are doing well. And I did see during the week that some pundits were saying this game's going to end 1-1. I did read that during the week.
Oh God!
Who said that? Sorry, whose prediction was that?
Oh dear!
It was Mark Guidi that said what he predicts 1-1.
Okay.
Okay, that's when I was reading that in the week. But what I was wanting to say to you guys in general is, do you think the fact that the playing surface is not too good at St Johnstone, that plays into their hands a little bit?
It definitely goes against us to a degree. I think we're capable of adapting. We've played on some rubbish surfaces this season and came away with victories, so I don't think it'll be too bad. But there will be wee moments where a pass won't maybe find its target because it's bobbled on the surface and whatnot. But ultimately, we've got a better team, better players. They should be able to adapt these conditions. It's not like Fir Park 2008, if you remember those days at Motherwell when it was pretty much just sand. The whole park was just covered in
that's
sand.
true.
It's not at that level yet, but there are some parts that look a bit bobbly. But ultimately, you should be able to adapt our game to deal with these sort of things because we just have a better team and better players. So I'd like to think that that's not something that's going to intimidate them in any way out there. They should be able to just say, right, that's fine. We'll adapt to this. We'll find a way to play in these conditions. But at least there's no added with like rain and wind as well. Because it's quite an open stadium, McDiarmid, so it seems like quite a calm day. But yeah, the pitch does look a wee bit bobbly in places.
Yeah, well, Phil, this is what Ange had to say about our opponents. He said that they've been on a bad run, but I think when you play St Johnstone, you kind of know what you're going to get. They're always a team to play, especially at home, and you never go there not expecting it to be a tough contest. Callum Davidson has been there for a while now, and they've got a really strong work ethic in their team, and we're going to have to be good to beat them. I mean, I agree with that. Like I said, he's been there a long time. He's won 2 cups in his time at St Johnstone, so he knows how to get them winning games. And obviously, like I said, Ange is obviously not taking them lightly. So I was just hoping, like you say, all things aside, we just go out there and we do our thing. We just have to concentrate on playing our game because we're going to have a lot of factors to being up against us, like you said, the ground, the pitch, the referee and the VAR. We'll just
hopefully that's not a factor today. Yes, hopefully.
Yeah, well,
David, who is the referee today then?
That's a good question. Has anybody got the
somebody in the chat maybe?
Somebody in the chat. I've not managed to catch that yet, I'm afraid.
Aye.
Let's have a wee look at the lineup then. Well, we've got it up here because we're now at the pre-match build-up, and you lovely people in the chat would rather not listen to Chris Boyd stumble over his words, and you'd rather listen to me stumble over my words. So this is the starting lineup. We've got Hart and goals.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Johnson. We've got the ever reliable partnership of Carter Vickers and Starfelts. We've got Taylor, McGregor, Hatate, Moy, Jota, Maeda, Kyogo. Regan, are you pretty happy with the starting lineup? Would that have been your preferred starting lineup today?
That would have been my starting lineup. Yep. I'm very happy with it, David. I just hope they can go out and do the Edge Postecoglou justice, because what I would quite like to see as well is I would quite like to go 2-0 up and then bring on Cho or O. I think Cho was the guy we tried to get and we got O. I would quite like to go and see what O can do, because I watched him at Celtic Park at Wednesday. When he came on, it looked as if he was trying too hard. I don't know if you guys agree. I just thought he was trying too hard and to track too much. And then when he got the ball, he was kind of a bit wasteful on the ball. So I'm just hoping that we get a wee easy game today. We can see Cho. But overall, I think it's the best lineup possible.
Yeah.
And I can't believe I'm saying that with Moy, because I was in the camp with the bus driver himself when they said that Moy was very underwhelming. But I think Moy's been a very, very good signing, and you can't argue.
Doing very well.
It's hard to argue with the form that he's been on, and I think it's just been a case of, it's easy to look back in hindsight, but I mean, I still stand by I felt the same. I thought it was an underwhelming signing. I thought it was a bit of almost like a lazy signing, just because it was the Australian link. And however, I mean, what that just kind of shows you, what do we know? He's now that he's got he's got his fitness up, like, which was, people were saying to just wait till he gets his fitness up. People that obviously watched Aaron Moy more in the Premier League, or any Australian Celtic fans were on Twitter saying just wait till he's up to speed and you'll see the real Aaron Moy, and I think that's just been the case. So I mean, I've popped this bus right in reverse. Aaron Moy. Yeah. No, Phil, I think Aaron Moy slots in there. It was hard to drop. I know he didn't start the last game. I think that was just to give him a rest.
Yep.
He is very much in Ange's starting lineup going forward for the end of the season, and obviously that a lot of experience that he brings alongside what we kind of need. We've got a lot of I don't want to say naivety in the side, but they've got almost a bit of like, that gun-ho kind of
yeah.
kind of play that he maybe settles it down a wee bit and kind of brings us back in a little bit.
Yeah.
But maybe whichever side needs. So, I mean, I'm pretty happy to see Moy back in the team today, and I reckon we'll get a good performance out of him again.
He was a calming head at Ibrox when we needed it, and we were 2-1 down. Because when Moy came on, I was kind of like, oh, is this the move here? We're 2-1 down. We bring on a guy that kind of slows down the play. But he was a real calming influence at a time when we needed it, because things were getting a bit frantic at that point. We were under the cosh. And I'm same as you two guys, same as Russell. A lot of us were under the same impression with Moy when he signed, but it was like, I don't know, man. Something does seem lazy would be a good word to describe it. But no, now that he's up to fitness and he's motoring away, he's got to play. And I'm a big advocate for, if a player's in form, you don't drop him. You just keep on playing the strongest team. The guy's in form. Matt Riley at the moment isn't, and that's just the way it goes. We need to get this title won. We need to go for the strongest team. And regardless of what Regan saying earlier as well about the 2-0 thing, that is the key here. See if we can get an early goal. That always helps against these teams, because they're going to play 10 men behind the ball. Even at their own ground, they're going to do it. But we did that when we went 1-0 up at McDiarmid the last time. We seemed to just kind of, I don't know if it was like the substitutes that came on, it all kind of, things just sort of fell apart in the second half, and St Johnstone were piling on the pressure at the end, because if they're just a goal behind going into the last 10 minutes, they're going to start throwing everything forward. But if you get 2 in front against them, then they're really snookered. Because I've even seen it, and you'll have noticed this, Regan, going to Celtic Park. Even when we go 1-0 up against a team, they still time wasting stuff like that. Livingston are pretty bad for it. And it's like, because their plan is we'll keep it to a goal with 10 minutes to go, we'll just throw everything forward. Dundee United did it in that game that we beat them 4-2 before the World Cup, where they were beating them 2-1 and they were still time wasting. And it's like, what are you doing? The game? Aye. So it's the same, but if you get 2 goals ahead of them, that really scuppers them. So I would like to see that happen. Hopefully in the first half, we're walking off at half time, we're 2-0 up, we're 3-0 up, whatever it is, that'd be ideal. To say the last time we did it, we were sitting on a 1-0 till late on in the second half, and that's when they got their goal. Obviously, late on, they just were throwing everything forward. It came from a set piece, just lumping it into the box. Luckily, that day we had a wee ace up the sleeve in Giacomakis, who decided that day, I'm scoring the winner here in the 95th minute. But of course, David, as you said before we came on the show, Giacomakis again is topical, because there's a story about him, because we don't have him today. But hopefully somebody steps up and puts the ball in the net and makes sure we get the points. But I believe you've got a wee Giacomakis story of an Ange quote.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can go over the quote about the Instagram if you like. I know that was touched on yesterday on the Saturday sesh. Make sure you go back and watch that if
yeah.
So obviously, like, I mean, it was touched on the show last night. Obviously, the Instagram quote that Ange used. I think that was obviously a bit of a dig at the old Giacomakis expressing his displeasure of what's going on Instagram, rather than as far as we know, we don't know if he spoke to the boss, but but there's a lot of speculation of like, what does Ange do, like when it comes to the players that are maybe necessarily looking to be moving on, or like does he speak to them? Does he just or is it a case that the players don't get anywhere near him? Well, this is what Ange had to say on certain players in the team. He said, "It's all about chatting to the players. I need to know where they're at, where their heads are. Last year we had Beaton and Rogic with a year left. It would have been easy for me to let them roll on for another year. But after discussions, we came to a conclusion where they felt there were opportunities they wanted to explore, so they moved on, which was fine."
Yep.
With those 3 guys who have 18 months left. Now, I don't know if he actually said their names or if the article just added the guys in just so we knew who he was talking about. In brackets has Hart, Moy, and Turnbull, who have 18 months left. I'm constantly talking to them about what their ambitions are. I want to make sure that every step of the way that we are looking after players' interests, but also looking after the club's interests too. Every decision will be made against that backdrop. Now, Regan, does that come into play with the Giacomakis situation? Has Giacomakis shown Ange in some sort of capacity that he's had his eye on another move somewhere? He's not been happy at Celtic for whatever reason, whether it's to do with lack of game time, lack of money, who knows. As Ange had this conversation, sat down and went, we'll let you look at your opportunities, and if it works out for you and it's in the best interests of the club, hence having an unhappy player in the camp, is it maybe best that we just move you on?
Yeah, David, I think that's spot on what you said there. I think I'm going to try and give Peter Lawwell credit and Nicholson credit for once in my life, right? I'm going to say that those guys have learned for that COVID season 10 in a row with every single player, like Cham, Ayer, Jack Henry, Edward, all the players stayed for 10 in a row, but in reality, they should have left. Now, I'm thinking, is this Peter Lawwell not saying, well, we don't want to keep unhappy players around? Or is it Ange saying we need to constantly evolve the squad? I don't know what it is, but I think it's the best thing to do, especially a club like Celtic, because you want to keep evolving. And I think that is correct what Ange is doing. I don't think you would have probably seen that under Neil Lennon. I don't think Neil Lennon looks that far ahead. The fact that Ange is looking 2 years ahead when David Tumble's got 2 years left, that shows you he's pre-planning. He's probably thinking to himself, right, deep down, he's sitting with his cup of coffee at night and sitting going, right, David Tumble's got 2 years left. Who can I replace him with? That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing right now. You know, he's not going to tell you that, but that's what he's doing, right? He's saying, right, if I let David Tumble go, who would I want to bring in? And who would I want to replace him with? Maybe Joe Hart. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me that if Peter Lawwell and Nicholson said to him, right, these guys have got 2 years left. What I want you to do as a manager, and just to try and figure out who would be best to fill those places if those guys do go.
The manager's always kind of been quite transparent in saying that he always thinking about 2 or 3 windows ahead, Phil. Now, I always kind of took that in the case of as in players that he wants to buy in. I'm starting to wonder if maybe it's a case of players that he wants to leave in 2 or 3 windows, and he's already got in his replacements for the likes of a Turnbull or a Giakoumakis. He's already got, it's the summer right now. We'll go back to the summer, but he's already looking at the January window. But he's not looking at a case of who am I going to bring in the transfer window. I've already got that sussed. I've already got that sorted in. And been looking at him since September. What I'm really looking to do in the next window is move a player on, because if he doesn't do that, you know, the squad's already quite bloated as it is. I thought there'd be a bit more people leaving in that window, but you know, he was talking about looking on to the future. Now he's looking at the summer window again. Is he looking at, you know, obviously he will bring players in, but is that his main focus, or is it a case of, right, what do I do with a Turnbull? What do I do with a Moy? Do I keep him or do I move him on? What about Joe Hart? Well, right now we're seeing it in the lineup today. Maybe Siegrist isn't going to be the heir to the Joe Hart's throne, because he's not even managed to make the squad again today. And Regan, you mentioned earlier that he was training. So
yeah, he was training this week. Still to put out videos and on their YouTube channel of Siegrist training, and they also put pictures of Siegrist on Instagram. So Siegrist is training. So clearly, Ange's not fancying Siegrist as much as we thought. And remember, I said a few weeks ago, Siegrist has missed the last 4 matches, and I was like, something's going on here. Maybe I was spot on, because I think it's a great point that you make, David, in terms of Ange's management is absolutely brilliant, and we need to take every sprinkle that he's doing to us, because in the end up right in 2 years down the line, we need to be prepared to go, this is what we do. We need to be ruthless as a club.
Yep.
It's funny because when you talk about good man management, that's when you picture I certainly did, you know, an arm round a player in his ear, you know that kind of man management, like almost like a Jurgen Klopp, who's certainly not having a good time at the moment. Apparently, they only lost 2-0 yesterday because he didn't want to count the third goal because it was the first time they came into their own half. But that's a totally different story. Whereas that's kind of what I think of man management. You get your arm around a player and you tell him, "You're going to run through a wall for me because I love you, wee man," and blah, 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 blah. But I think Ange's man management skills is completely different. It's almost a case of he just oozes. It's like an aura around him that the players just respect. There's a little bit of a fear factor in there, which is fine. You know, it's like that whole. It's like that whole. You need to ask your dad, or you better wait till your dad gets home, and you're like, oh shit. Oh, no. You know, that's kind of the Ange effect that he has, and I think players have that little bit of fear of him, and you step out of line, then like we've seen maybe with the likes of Juranovic asking for a day off, and he was thrilled. You got that dad, you got the dad stare from him in that video. I think you just need glimpses of kind of showing you like you'll not miss, you know. So and I think the players almost resonate to that. It's like a case of like, did you see that, Dad? Did you see that, Dad? Did you see the flip I did on the trampoline, Dad? And you're like, aye, son, that was fine. That was good, aye. That's the kind of the players like. Kyogo's like, did you see that, Ange? Did you see that? Did you see the goal scored? Aye, that's good. That's good, wee man. Keep it up. Like it's always like, how do I get him to be proud of me? And I think that's what the players are trying to do when they're playing for him, but opposed to like that other type of man manager, but it is a wee bit cuddly. And Ange's always been a bit said, look, I'm not here to make pals, I'm not here to curl you. And I think that's kind of the vibe that I get from him. Would you agree with that, Phil? Do you think it's a good man management skill, that, or do you think it's maybe a little bit too cold? It's almost too cold from Ange at times.
No, I think it's perfect. I think it works well with this set of players because you see, with good man management skills, it doesn't need to be a physical gesture like you always saying, the whole putting an arm around the player. It can be done obviously psychologically as well. Ange's got a lot of fierce competition now in that team, a lot of players fighting for to keep their shut, and that is what you're talking about. You know, they've got that sort of like, pay attention to me, look at what I just did. That's good. That's resonating throughout the entire team, where now it's like, we need to impress this guy to keep our place, who we just talked about a few minutes ago, Aaron Moy, who's keeping Matt O'Reilly out the team, who a year ago everyone was like, oh, Matt O'Reilly, he's the future. He's the next guy that we're going to be selling for big, big money. But now it's Aaron Moy. You've got to have him in the starting lineup right now. And that's going to keep players on their toes. And it's the same way all around the park. So I think the way Ange does it is phenomenal. I do like the whole, when he's done interviews and he says, like, if they're on like a long plane ride or train or on the bus, he doesn't sit next to any of the players, doesn't talk to them. If somebody does sit next to him and all that, he's just really sort of distant with them. But again, that's going to make the players want to, impress him even more. Like, oh, no, look at what I'm doing. So yeah, I think it's worked really, really well. It's up to now, and your competition is going to keep them on their toes and keep us at the highest level that we can be at. So yeah, he's doing everything right so far in terms of that, and I'm a big fan of everything that he's done. And in terms of the players you were mentioning earlier on about out of contract and so forth, I think you said it before we came on air. I think if Turnbull is one of the ones that's out of contract, say at the end of next season, yeah, I can see him leaving in the summer. Ange at the moment, I would say you compare it to like a game of snooker. He's thinking 2-3 shots ahead all the time, and that's why certain other managers in the league who are mouthing off about this and that, they're not playing on the same level that Ange is right now. He is so far ahead of them in terms of what he's thinking of the next moves. And yeah, Turnbull, I could see him being somebody that does leave. Would it be a huge loss to the team? Not really, because he is just a squad player. He comes in and does a job here and there, but he's not a vital cog in the machine. But Ange already have somebody in mind. No doubt about it. If it is a case of Turnbull isn't going to sign any contract extension beyond the next 18 months, so they will look to try and cash in on him. Because he can get a bit of monetary value, Turnbull. He has got that. He's in that age bracket where he's got that potential to go on, still improve even more. So we can probably get something for him. But I could see him probably being, if it's a case of he's definitely one of the players, he will be one that moves on in the summer, I reckon.
Turnbull really does split the fan base. I believe he's kind of almost that new James Forrest, in a sense that you either love him or hate him. Right now I'm looking at the the comments, and we've got B Harvey here saying, strong bench again, this is brilliant. As long as the players buy into this, we will be fine. PS, let's not slate Matt. Like anyone's slating him on here, maybe in the chat, I don't know. He is a fine young player. PS, again, get David Turnbull signed up. And then two comments down, we've got Scott Cameron. Turnbull is a waste of a shirt. So
there's Marky said Turnbull's class. Aye, yes, he's
Turnbull's
dividing
class.
opinion. Aye,
Yep.
So.
I mean, he's right now he's a squad player, but it's just funny to see how quickly things can change. He was probably one of Ange's first players on his team sheet last year up until his injury, but again, I think he was a short-term plan for a long-term goal. If I'm being honest, there's another player I want to talk about on the. I'm looking at the bench here, and I maybe was reading into this wee bit too much when I was watching the game last time. But we got a shot of Haksabanovic. He was only one of the few players who got a substitute appearance in the Livingston game, and he just didn't look too chuffed about it. I don't know if maybe he's just got a bit of a resting bitch face, but I just kind of took it. I was like, well, he doesn't look too keen, and neither he doesn't look too happy sitting there on the bench. He probably wanted to get involved. He's a player that I think is going to be maybe another Giakoumakis situation. If I'm being totally honest, I think he's a cracking player. And I think he's got a wee bit of a chip on his shoulder kind of character. You know, he's not had the greatest time on UK shores. When he got to West Ham, he didn't get much game time, and he also looked a bit of a player there as well. I think it could be a bit of a frustrated figure as Haksabanovic, and he's maybe sitting there going, "Why am I not getting on?" I mean, he probably will get on today, but obviously the new flavour of the month of Oz came in, and obviously he's getting maybe. Ange might be looking to throw him on before he does Haksabanovic, and that might start to get into the back of his mind, going, "What am I doing here? Why am I was player of the month last month, and now I can't seem to get back on the bench." I know he was injured, guys. I know. However, I just when I saw that wee glimpse of him on the bench, I just thought he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's got a point to prove. I bet he's itching to get on. So I'm hoping we do see him today, because I think he's a class player. But don't be too surprised if he starts putting some egg timers on Instagram soon enough as well.
Oh no, please don't. I hope
I
no.
think that's bang on what you say there, David, because I tend to agree with Ange, and obviously Mr. Beale was saying as well, right? See, when players get injured at Rangers and Celtic, it must be the worst thing in the world, because then you go down the pecking order. Because see, when you get injured, right, then somebody else comes in and does really well. It's like, see, when McGregor got injured, everybody was like, "Oh, well, Celtic are going to do terrible here." Then Matt, Celtic don't lose a game when he's playing instead of McGregor. And then the same thing happened with Kyogo last season. He gets injured, Giakoumakis comes in and does well, but then Giakoumakis gets injured again, and then Kyogo comes straight back in, and Giakoumakis doesn't really get to see it. I think that's the chance that you take at a big club, is when you get injured and then you don't come back for a while. Sometimes, sometimes it can be as short term as that, where you need to be in the manager's thoughts constantly to get a start. And I don't know if the fact that he's been injured so much has maybe hampered him a little bit. And I'm just watching, he's went, "Well, I can't really trust this guy too much, because every time I tried to go and pick him, and then he's always injured." You know what I mean? Because I think, did he not score against somebody at home, and then they equalised against us? So
Dundee United and Ross County, two of the games in the run-up to the World Cup, he scored in them. And see, when we beat St Johnstone in the McDiarmid Park, it was his shot across the box that I think it was Considine bumped into his own net. So he was involved, and he was.
Aye, but what I mean is, he scored and then he's been injured. He scored, then he's been injured, and then he's not got a chance. So I don't know if it's a case of he just needs to be in the manager's thoughts constantly to get the opportunity. Because that's what you need to do at Celtic Rangers. You need to be constantly in the manager's thoughts. I think for Haksabanovic, I think David could be spot on there. ways we summation of that might be the next Giacomakis, if you like. Yeah, he never gets a chance.
Let's hope not.
Let's hope not. I mean, like I said, I'm speculating a little bit. I'm almost having a wee bit of fun after seeing the little clip of the bench. But I mean, he just looked to me. He just, even like on his debut, he just had a bit of a bite to him. A bit of, he's. I don't know. He just plays with a bit of a chip on his shoulder. That's just the vibe I got from him. But let's have a wee look at our new flavour of the month, and that is Joe Hart had this to say on Joe Hart on O. He said, "I know the boys have mentioned how sharp he is and how tough he is to keep a hold of. We don't get a huge opportunity to train too much at the moment with the game schedule, but I think he's really going to bring something special to the club. Obviously, he's not been in the door too long, Phil, but from what Joe Hart's seen in training, whether he's just bigging him up for obviously just to build confidence and us as fans and the player, or but I think Joe Hart's quite honest in his opinion on things. The players seem to find him quite a physical, tormenting player to deal with, and hopefully we're going to start seeing that more. Regan, you mentioned earlier, you think he was almost trying too hard the other night when he came on again. I agree with that. Philly was punching the ground and he was screaming at himself. He was getting really frustrated. Obviously, he just wants to get that goal, and that's great. But just hopefully, just keep the head, mate. The goal will come. I think he's got I think he will get the chances. I do find that he's been a bit unlucky in the time that he has came on. I know it was only 10 minutes against St Mirren. Was it St Mirren? No.
Dundee United.
Dundee United, sorry. And obviously then he got about 15, 20 minutes against
Livingston.
Livingston. But the games had been pretty much wrapped up. I think we kind of took the foot off the gas almost a little bit. Just tried just to control it rather than going for a killer. I think if he comes on and we're still hunting for a goal, I think that's when we'll really see the best out of him. The opportunities just weren't really coming his way because of how we'd kind of just tried to sew up the game. I think obviously the only real chance he maybe could have got was when Abada took the shot rather than crossing to him, and he made it pretty clear to Abada that he wanted that cross. So he doesn't look like he's going to be too shy telling players, where he wants the ball, which is good. I want a confident player that's going to slot straight in there. And seems really happy with them. Joe Hart's obviously likes what he sees. I think we've got a player on our hands here.
Yeah, I think it'll just give it a little bit of time. Not every single player can come in and just start scoring right away. You will get one from time to time, a striker that will just come in and hit the ground running. Sometimes it might take a few games. He could probably benefit from starting a game somewhere, but of course the question is, where does that happen? I know we've got a Scottish Cup game next weekend against St Mirren, but St Mirren are actually doing no bad at the moment. They're still sitting in the top half of the table, so they're not exactly... Like the last round of the round, we're playing like Morton and stuff like that. So you're playing a lower league team. So you think, well, that might be a good place to start him. Give him a run out there, a cup game against a lower league team. But no, we're playing St Mirren next week. But would Ange start him in that? Ange might have his eye on, well, that's the one trophy I didn't win the last season. So let's try and get the treble wrapped up so we take the Scottish Cup seriously. Who knows? We don't know what will happen. Ange will always... Eddie, he's a manager and he picks the team. Ideally, from our point of view, the armchair fan, we're always like, I would play him in this game, I'd play him in that. We don't know. Ange keeps us guessing with that one. Deep down, I do think that he could probably benefit from starting again. Then we get a proper chance to see what he's all about rather than coming on and having to, get into the game. And it's the same thing with what happened to Giacomakis coming on. He was also coming on at the same time a cluster of other substitutes, so it wasn't necessarily the strongest 11 that were on the park when Giacomakis was coming on. So these are wee factors that could happen. But I do think goals will come from eventually. And he'll do fine over the piece. Kyogo's still definitely the number one striker, as it should be, because he's in amazing form at the moment this season. So I am confident that O will do well, and he has got youth on his side. He's still young and is getting better. So I'm quite so far from what I've seen. He looks okay, but we see longer. Hopefully today, if the game is wrapped up by a decent time, we can maybe get like half an hour out of him. We start to see more and more of him on the park. But early on, I'm encouraged by him. I trust Ange anyway, and whatever. You know, all these obscure markets he's signing from. I'm like, I trust what this guy's doing. Whatever he's bringing in, I'll believe you, big man.
I mean, Ange really. I mean, like I think like Russell touched on it the other day. I think obviously he knows the camera's there. I think it was maybe a little play up to the camera, but I mean, what Ange had to say about was that he didn't really get didn't really get the best deal for himself, and he said that he doesn't think his agent would have been too happy with him, because I think he just wanted to. He was so desperate to get for the move to happen that he was willing to just kind of take whatever Celtic were willing to throw at him. So that just tells me that you got a really keen player that wants to come and play for the manager. We were talking earlier about the manager's man management skills. Whatever he's doing, it's getting these guys to come over. I mean, obviously, Celtic are the biggest pool of coming over to play for us, obviously. But these guys are packing up the bags and coming, and they're coming to play for Ange. Awata's played with Ange, played under Ange before. I'm sure he could have stayed in Japan if he wanted to, or he probably would have found himself in. I know the German leagues tend to look at a lot of the Japanese players. He could have ended up over there. Yeah. But these guys are wanting to come and play for Ange. So I think, if O's as eager and as keen as he's shown us on the wee videos that we've seen of him speaking about Ange, and obviously the what he's shown us in the 30 minutes of football that we've seen, I do believe that we're going to. I don't want to say forget all about Giakoumakis, but I think he'll certainly soften the blow of him ultimately leaving to go to Atlanta, which Fabrizio Romano has once again going to double down on. That's definitely happening. So thanks for your services, Giakoumakis, and good luck in all your future endeavours. We've got 20 minutes before kickoff, guys. What do you all talk about?
I've got a talking point for you. Patrick McLaughlin brought this up in the chat earlier, and this is something that I've noticed. And again, this could just be Celtic paranoia, who knows? But have you noticed since the World Cup ended and we've came back from that, every weekend it feels like they play before us. How many weekends so far? Because Patrick said earlier on he thinks it's the 5th time since the World Cup break they've had the chance to go 6 behind. It does feel like that, doesn't it? It's very rare that we've kicked off.
There's only one time. Yeah. There's only one time where we've had the chance to go 12, and that was when we played against Dundee United. We went 12 points clear, and then they played the next day. I can't remember who they beat, but they beat somebody anyway.
Yeah.
No, they beat Dundee. They beat Dundee United.
They played Dundee United on Sunday, and we played on Saturday. That was it. That's the only time. It's weird that into how the fixture computers brought it out that way. I mean, how far in advance is that decided? Is this, and if the TV, obviously the television coverage has moved games to certain days, how far in advance is that decided? Because it has felt like since the World Cup break, every weekend now, not that I'm worried about it in any way. I think, we're still sitting very, very comfortable, and we seem to be, whatever they do, we're matching it anyway. We just seem to deal with it. But it is weird how every week they're playing before us and it goes to 6 points, and then we have to go out and make it 9 points instead of us putting a bit of pressure on them and going, we're now 12 points in front. Let's see how you can cope. That's only happened once, as Regan says.
Yeah, it's a little bit strange. I mean, Scottish football's a little bit strange at times. I mean, somebody in the chat put in who the referee was. I've never heard that referee in my life before. I don't know who he is. But anyway, I mean, it's a strange one, but I just hope that we can get the job done. And I hope in future weeks we can go 12 points clear, because I don't know if you guys seen it, but I watched a little bit of the Rangers and Hearts game the other night, because Celtic were 3-0 up, and I'm going, I'll turn it over and see what's happening. Rangers were so dominant, and I just think they try so much harder against us. Honestly, and that's no conspiracy theories. I'm just watching it, and I'm going, it just seemed to try harder against us.
Yeah, it's I said that to my dad, because he was very much in the impression in the run up to through the week. Hearts could, the wee tricky one there for Rangers. And I'm like, don't go in with that mentality. It says they'll the burst hearts aside. Last season, remember when the Kyogo goal was caused a meltdown in Scottish football, the offside one, and you had Crawford Ireland coming out and saying stuff about it, and then a few weeks later they played Rangers at Tynecastle. Connor Goldson again blatantly handballed it. Robbie Nielsen didn't even mention that in his post-match interview. There was no uproar, and I was like, that says all I need to know about their attitudes towards their games with them and their games against us. So yeah, I wasn't surprised at that result through the week. But yeah, I have found it quite interesting. I'm glad that Patrick brought it up. Who's the only one thinking it, where every weekend it feels like we're the ones that are having to get back to 9 points again. So yeah, here we are in this position again, guys. Here we go.
I heard that Connor Goldson was getting called up to the NBA All-Stars game at the end of the season, so I'll be looking forward to watching that.
I've heard he's England's the goalie.
He could easily be. Right.
Yeah.
He's not too bad at deflecting it away with the old hand.
Sorry, David, a wee talking point for you. I did see Postecoglou. He gave Strachan and Kuhl a little bit of credit this week because he was asked. It was one of the fan media who normally ask about the favourite pizza topping and that, but they did ask you a good question this week. They did say, "Why is Maeda's form been so good for the World Cup?" And he said, "I put it down to Kuhl and Strachan. They're really spending time with him." And I think it's about time we give these guys credit because we slaughtered these guys during the 10-0 season. I know people will say we didn't, but we did. We slaughtered Strachan for his laptop, and we slaughtered Kennedy because he looked happy for losing the 25 points. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember when Celtic won. I think they beat, like it was something in the Europa League, right? And then, but John Kennedy smiled when we get beat. I think it was 5-1 or something. People are going, that is shocking.
I think the thing with Harry Kuhl is, this guy is one of the most gifted wingers that that certainly Australia has ever produced.
Brilliant player when he played for Leeds United. Phenomenal.
Yeah, very good player. I kind of feel like, even just watching the game there midweek, even Abada is starting to show a bit more creativeness with the ball. He's willing to take on a player, a few step overs here, there, and the decision making is starting to get a bit better. I think it's just, after a while of working with a player such as Harry Kuhl, he's obviously passing on his wisdom on decision making, and just go out and express yourself. Kind of that's what fans want to see wingers do. So I think we're just the time spent with a player like that has only benefited Maeda and Abad. I think Maeda, however, he's a very, very much a confidence player. I think obviously he works his socks off every game. There's no doubt about that. And like we said, there's no coincidence that he's getting these kind of scrappy goals because he just is in the right place at the right time. But that's because he knows. That's because he's working his ass off to get into these positions, and it's coming up trumps for him. But when you're starting to see like the bit of the confidence of willing to take on a man, you can, like, I'm sorry, but Kuhl surely said to, like, mate, you've got this boy on toast. Just take him on. take him on. This boy's never catching you. And then obviously when that starts to get into the player's head, he says, you're right. I do have this boy on toast. And then that obviously then just the confidence starts to ooze out of them. And I think the same with Abada when he's been getting on. You're one of the most gifted players that's come out of your country for years. We've got, you're go and start showing some creativity because you're more than capable of doing it. And just, as they mature and grow into the game, the decision making will also improve. And I think that, like you say, working with Kuhl, and obviously I don't think we should discredit Strachan and his laptop either, because like there's a reason why he has that laptop. He's obviously a stat guy. He obviously, and obviously I think that works perfectly for Angus. I think bringing a guy like Strachan his laptop into Neil Lennon sort of coaching staff, it's like getting a coup, it's like having a coup with a gun. Like there's just, I don't think Lennon had any clue of what Strachan. Strachan's got this laptop and saying, look, if you look at the data here, Lenny, this, and this, and Lennon's going, no, I'm just going to shout at him more, mate. Whereas I think having the laptop is perfect for an Ange system because he does kind of work in that kind of stratosphere. If you like.
And also, I think Andrew one of those guys that would say, "Look, have a look at the stats here, and you're not doing as well as you've done the last couple of weeks." And I think that's bang on what you say there, David. I don't think Lennon would look to that. And I think the fact that I think Ange, right, of course Ange plays into these fan media types that go to the press conferences and like he acts as if he doesn't know. Ange's got no stone unturned when it comes to Celtic, when it comes to like we're talking about the Jack and Marcus, like if he's no good enough he leaves. Do you not think that if Ange thought that Strachan was an absolute shit coach, that Ange would to go, right, we need to bring a new coach?
You'd be away. You'd be gone.
Yeah.
He'd be the first one at the door. He wouldn't go, oh, well, Strachan's good at bring him a slice of toast in the morning at Lennoxtown. He would be away.
He would.
He's Pie Sports. He's Pie Sports delivery.
Yeah.
I mean, talking about Pie Sports, right enough, I mean, some of the pies are unbelievable. So the next week, if you're sitting at home and you're looking for a Celtic game, why not book the pies early so they can be there for you watching the Celtic game?
Regan's got it all sussed, mate. He's got it all sussed. Now, before we've got 10 minutes before kick-off. I've got 9
Do you want to know why Maeda's playing well? I'll tell you why. Because he obviously watched an episode of The Bus and he knows about the wee fight between you and Mark, about 20 goals. And he's on your side, David, because you've endorsed him. And he's like,
David.
Like,
what's he on now? Has anyone got the stats? What's he on now? I should really know. I should be keeping
count.
I'm losing count. There's that many. There's that many goals. I'm losing count now.
Gavin will get the iPad out and tell us.
Go on.
See that goal on Wednesday, David? Does that go count? Does that go right?
Well, it all counts, mate. He scores with his left, his right, his eyeball, everything. Guy's phenomenal. He's an absolute goal scoring machine.
Mark's watching this pure raging like that.
He's raging, just like the bus. Undesirable has become undeniable, Regan. He is undeniable.
He's playing well. Long may it continue. Long may it. Charles Smith reckons he's on 8 goals, so still a while go. Plenty of time. A few hat tricks will solve that.
Hat trick incoming. I've been saying it every
week. Speaking about St Johnstone, do you guys get any favourite memories of St Johnstone away? Because for me, it's a Dembele goal when they scored that 25 passes.
Good one.
Mine was probably when he told Mickey Johnson to fuck off. I think that was my favourite.
Oh, God.
Best one. In fact, topical to a Bustalgia episode this a couple of weeks ago, James Forrest scoring 4 goals in a 6-0.
Oh, he did?
That day was, man. Were you not like 5-0 up at half time in that game as well?
Yeah, I was in Prague. I was sitting out in a bar in Prague with Lucy, and I was like, I better check the score. And I was like, Lucy, she's like, what is it? I was like, there's a forest fire happening in Perth right now.
He's got a good record at McDiarmid Park, by the way. He's he scored quite a few up there.
That was the one with the white and green top, wasn't it, Will?
It was, aye. They had like the old crest on it from the. That's a nice one. That.
Oh, it was a lovely one, aye. But I mean, also don't forget the Virgil van Dijk one when he run for the halfway line. Remember?
Yep. Just brushes people aside as he always does. Then just slots it in the bottom corner. Yeah, it was a phenomenal goal as well. But no, we've had a few good ones up at McDiarmid. It's a happy hunting ground for us. Hopefully that continues the day.
Right, guys. Well, we had a quick conversation with Mark before we came on today, and he gave me his prediction for the score. He said he thinks it's going to be quite a tight game, and he thinks it's going to be Celtic 2, St Johnstone 1. Phil, what's your score prediction for today?
I'll say a routine 2-0. We get 2 up, and then we just control the game.
Boring.
I'll go St Johnstone 0, Celtic 5.
Oh, yes, Regan. Yes. I'm not as confident as you. I'm going to go with a 4-0.
I'll go.
Kyogo's going to get 2. I think Hatate will get 1, and O will grab a wee late goal at the end of the game. I'm going to
go 2. I'm going to go 2 for Dyson Maeda. There you go.
Get in, mate. That's all. It gets to double figures, which is
goal tally up.
Which is perfect. All right, well, we'll just get this wrapped up. We've got 5 minutes to go. We'll let you guys get your pies in the oven. And get ready for the game. Thanks, everyone, for joining us on this Sunday pre-match, Blether.
Russell and Terry will be back later for PMP afterward. At some point, the link will go up, so keep your eyes
Don't
peeled.
forget to go for your pies. Bus
Exactly.
1888. Get on Pie Sports and get your pies.
Yes, right, guys. Enjoy the game.
Yes,
hail,
indeed.
hail. Won the Celts.
Right, catch you later, guys. See ya.
Well, you've all that stuff at the start. You know, they won't be playing Tina Turner on the coach on the way home, will they?
Some of his comments about me deliberately trying to cause controversy. Well, I work in the media now. And you've got someone sitting there next to you who's an embarrassment to the media profession. He's an apologist. He's a charlatan. He's a Rangers puppet. He's a cheerleader. That's what he is.